Jai Sitaram. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Ayodhya Ch, chapter 16. Rama goes to his father. In the previous chapter, we saw how King Dashratha asked Sumantra, his faithful minister and friend, to go to Rama's palace and bring Rama to him. And we also saw the detailed description of Lord Rama's palace. And we saw that unimpeded, Sumantra entered the inner chambers of the palace. And in this chapter, we will see how Sumantra asks Rama to come with him to the palace of King Dashratha. And we also see how Rama observes the jubilant country that is so ecstatic that his coronation is going to take place within the next few hours. Verses 1 and 2. Satat antah puradvaram samatitya janakulam praviviktam tadaha kakshyam asasada puranavit prasakarmuka bibhradbir yuvabhir mrishta kundalaihi apramadbhir ekagrai svanuraktaihi adishtitam. Sumantra, who knew the ancient sacred works, left behind him the gates of the seraglio, crowded with expectant people, and entered another suite of apartments comparatively quiet. There he found many armed youths, richly attired, watching over the safety of Rama with whole-souled devotion. Verse 3. Tatra Kaushalya vridhan vetra panin svalankritan tadarsha vishtitan dvari stri adhyakshan susamahitan. There he saw the aged palace supervisors wearing colored clothes, adorning themselves well, having canes in their hands, well composed, and being posted at the doorways. Verse 4. Te samikshya samayantam Rama priya chikirshavaha saha bharyaya Ramaya kshipram eva achachakshire. They knew that Sumantra was a favorite with Rama and rose in respectful haste to welcome him. Verse 5. Prativeditam agnyaya sutam abhyantaram pituhu tatra eva anayayam asa ragavaha priyakamyaya. The humble-minded Sumantra spoke to them thus. May I request you to inform Rama that Sumantra, his servant, waits upon his pleasure. Verse 6. Te Ramam upasangamya bhartuhu priya chakirshabha saha bharyaya Ramaya kshipram eva chachakshire. Rama was engaged in a sweet conversation with Sita when the news was brought to him. Verse 7. Prativeditam agnyaya sutam abhyantaram pituhu tatrevana yamasa ragavaha priyam kamyaya. Knowing the aged counselor as the most intimate friend of his father, and to win his sire's favor the more, ordered him to be brought to his presence at once. Verses 8, 9, and 10. Tam Vaishravana Sankasham Upavishtam Svalankritam Dadarsha Sutaha Paryanke Sauvanots Uttaraschade Varaha Rudira Abhena Shuchinacha Saugandhina Anuliptam Para Ardhena Chandanena Param Tapam. Sthitaya parshvatah chapi vala vyajana hastaya upetam sitaya bhuyah chitraya shashinam yatha. Sumantra advanced where Rama sat and beheld the Lord of the universe. Rama was a master of boundless wealth, even as Kubera. The guardian of the north bestowed gold, gems, horses, kine, and everything that his followers might pray for. And Sri Rama conferred upon those who had won the right to be near him the envied privilege of beholding the supreme beauty of his form. He was absorbed in profound meditation, and Sita with him. His palms were joined in humble reverence, while graceful garlands adorned his broad shoulders. Sumantra beholds Lord Rama. What merit did he lay up in his past lives? The golden seat was chased with gems and blazed with lovely statues and rare articles of virtue. Priceless rugs covered it, and shawls, flower soft even as the delicate limbs of that prince of men, who reclined thereon as some dark blue cloud on a golden mountain. The charioteer was blessed to behold the Lord, even as he is described under the mystic symbology of Paryanka Vidya in the Kaushalya Upanishad. A sight deserved more of the liberated ones and the angels. Does the Lord say, "Thus far I am gracious to my children and no further"? Sandal paste, red as the boar's blood, and prepared with saffron paint, adorned his shapely hands and breast. Sita had touched it and communicated to it all unconsciously a brighter luster, a more delicious coolness, a sweeter fragrance. It is again the Lord's will that wards off from us the obstacles that lie in the way of our beholding his supernal beauty. Sita stood by, fanning him softly with moon-white chamara, even as the moon by the side of the star Chitra on the full moon day in the month of the same. So I just want to say that there are many mistranslations over here that state that Rama put the blood of a boar on his chest. That is not true. He wore red sandalwood paste that was redder than the blood of a boar, and it was exceptionally fragrant. And acharyas have mentioned that it was even more fragrant because SitaMa has adorned it on Lord Rama. And therefore, she has transferred her own love and everything on to the sandalwood paste. And that's why it is even more fragrant than it normally is. Verse 11. Tam tapantam iva adityam upamannam svatejasa pavande varadam bandi niyamagno vinitavat. Sumantra beheld him and was rewarded with clearer vision. The Supreme Person shone refulgent even as a sun of limitless radiance. The Lord of the worlds conferred upon his devotees the envied privilege of enjoying the bliss of his presence. Verse 12. Pranjalistu sukham prishtva Vihara shayanasane Rajaputram uvacha idam Sumantraha Rajasatkritaha. Sumantra prostrated himself before the deity of his heart. Rama's face is so charming, and he was seated on his beautiful couch. Verse 13. Kaushalya suprabha deva pita tvam drashtum ichchati Mahishya saha Kaikeyi gamyatam tatramachiram. O fair fruit of Kaushalya's glorious past, your sire desires your presence, and so does Kaikeyi. You are expected there very soon. So once again, we have to go back to the first Suprabhata verse as spoken by sage Vishwamitra in Balakand, Kaushalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narashardula Kartavyam Devam Manikam. And over here, we can see that even though Sumantra is worshipping the Lord, even though he knows that Rama is none other than the Supreme Narayana himself, even though he understands the august power of the Lord, he still says, Kaushalya Supraja, O wonderful son of Mother Kaushalya. And he says, your father and Kaikeyi wish to see you. So please go over there very soon. Verse 14. Evam uktaha tu samkhrishtaha narasimho mahadhyutihi tataha sammanayam asa sitam idam uvachaha. Rama expressed the very great pleasure the news gave him by bestowing handsome presents on the messenger and said to his beloved wife, verse 15, Devi, Devah cha Devi cha samagamya madantare mantreyete dhruvam kinchid abhishechana samhitam. Sita, I think my father and mother have thought of some new development or modification in connection with my installation. Lakshayatva hi abhiprayam priyakama sudikshina samchodayati rajanam mad artha madiraikshana. The king considers that it would not be prudent or wise to wait for Bharata's return, and pleads his weight of years and infirmities. Kaikeyi's sharp intellect could not have failed to grasp the motive, and desirous of doing what would give me pleasure, she urges the king to hurry on the arrangements for my investiture. Verse 17. Sa prakhrishta maharajam hitakāmānu vartanihi Janani Chartakama me Kaikeyadhipate Sutta, the daughter of the king of Kaikeya and my mother is following the king's instructions with great pleasure, desirous of my benefit and prosperity. Verse 18. Dishtaya khalu maharajo mahishya priyaya saha Sumantram prahino duta artha kama karam mama. And it is very befitting that my dear father and mother chose Sumantra as a messenger to me. For Sumantra would sacrifice his here and hereafter if he could further my interests ever so little. So this is a very clear indication that Rama himself thought about Sumantra very highly, and he knows that Sumantra is his great bhakta as well. Verse 19. Yadrishi parishat tatra tadrishu dutagataha dhruvam adya evamam raja yavarajye abhishekshyati. Sumantra is indeed a worthy messenger who has come here truly representing the assembly. It is quite certain that he will crown me heir apparent of this glorious realm, and that ere the day grows older. Verse 20. Hanta shigram itaha gatva drakshyami cha mahipatihi sahatvam parivarena sukham asva ramasya cha. So I go hence to hear my sire's commands. Rest here in comfort and amuse yourself with your friends and people. So now Rama knows that the next stage of his pastime is going to take place. He has to go on exile. And why is he asking SitaMa to just stay there and Ramasvacha, just enjoy herself with her Parivarena, circle of friends? Why is Lord Rama asking SitaMa to do so, despite knowing that he is about to go to the forest within a couple of hours? One thing is that this would very clearly indicate SitaMa's reaction when Lord Rama tells her that he is supposed to go off to the forest. It is very important for us to note that there are differences in how Kaushalya behaves and how Lakshmana behaves to this news and how SitaMa behaves. And right now, SitaMa is completely happy. She is totally secure living with her husband. She is about to amuse herself with her friends. And then we will see how she reacts when Rama tells her that he has to go to the forest. We shall learn more about SitaMa's conversations in the next section. Jai Sitaram.